And now it's time for Windy City Sports Talk. And your host, Ryan Young. Hello, Chicago! Welcome to this live Thursday edition of Windy City Sports Talk for October the 13th. I am Ryan Young. For the next half hour, we're going to recap and preview everything going on in the world of sports. And also, if you want to follow me on the old Twitter, whether it's talking about baseball, hockey, I didn't talk any hockey last night, or wrestling that I usually do, 4 days, maybe sometimes 5, 6, 7 days a week. You can find me on there as well. As I take a last drink of water before we get started. No baseball yesterday. We'll get into that in a little bit as we preview the NLDS Game 5. After tonight, the Cubs will find out who they will be welcoming to the friendly confines of Wrigley Field on Saturday night. For Game 1 of the NLCS, as the Cubs look to win their first National League Championship game since the Game 4 or Game 5, or whenever it was, in 2003. The game before the Bartman game, I believe. And they'll try to, that's another thing where you got to talk about. Everyone's like, you got to have a positive season. Well, at least they're back where they were last year, so they're not worse than they were last year, because if that would have been the question, they get eliminated by the Giants. Then all of a sudden you're talking about a team, okay, they made it to the NLCS this year, or last year, and then this year they only make it to the DS and can't get out. So now, do you think do they have to get to the World Series this year? Like, if you're going by series, yes, that's the next thing you could do, and that is win this series. Now, if you're looking for small accomplishments with a young team, you would think that, hey, win a game in the NLCS, something they didn't do last year. So, you win Game 1 or Game 2, win both. You do that, and you get, I think that's a mini positive right there, if they don't advance. But it'll be interesting. And also another thing I want to address, I was talking about this team, of course, Tuesday night when this team was about 3 outs away from having a Game 5 in Chicago tonight. I was talking about how young this team is, and that maybe this team is just too young to be in the playoffs. And I think their youth was shown a little bit. Then all of a sudden they have that big inning, they win, and there goes that. So, I gave up the ship on Game 4. I think I addressed this yesterday. But I did give up the ship. I thought maybe for a second here, hey, okay, maybe this team is still too young to be forcing a World Series on them. They won 103 games. Maybe the playoffs just is a different beast. You need to be able to have that playoff experience. And a lot of these guys do, but not as full-time players. Addison Russell last year got injured in the DS, and then we didn't see him in the NLCS where they got ousted by the Mets fairly quickly. So now you look at that and you think, okay, I'm thinking maybe this team is too young. But of course, then all of a sudden they shut me up, which rarely happens. Usually I'm about 90% right when I come to my baseball team. And they shut me up fairly quick, and they're like, you know what, we are gonna go. We're gonna shut you up. The big mouth people on the radio and the big mouth people on Twitter say, you know what, we can't do that, or you guys can't do it. You did it, and I think that's good. And I'm sure there's people doubting them from all the other cities, like St. Louis. They're always sour. And then you have and then you got the guys that do it. And then you got I'm sure there's Wisconsin fans that want to see him fail. I'm sure there's people from on the other side of town that want to see him fail. But guess what? It looks like the Cubs are taking over Chicago. If the White Sox were doing that, would they really be that excited? The White Sox, I've said that numerous times, White Sox could win 10 World Series in a row, and I still don't think it would be a Sox city. Now, it's been already 11 years since they won a World Series. 100 years comes quick, I think. So, and that team right there, I don't think right now, or anywhere in the near future, is going to be in the have a shot at a championship. We'll see where that goes. But I said the Cubs were too young. I think this year is a winning formula, trying to at least get this series longer, don't get swept, get some wins. Or is a positive season you have to make it to the World Series now? Or you end up in the same boat as last year? I mean, you want to improve each year. Now, if they make it to the World Series this year and don't make it, then next year has to be a World Series winning team. And I continue to have the argument with my dad about Aroldis Chapman. I continue to say that I don't think he'll be back next year. But the look, the confidence, and I brought this up yesterday, the confidence on that man's face when he pitched on Tuesday, I keep forgetting about it was Tuesday, right? Yesterday was Wednesday. On Tuesday was phenomenal. He was confident. He was ready to go. He had that look in his eye like, you know what? You guys aren't going to touch this. I could throw it right down the middle, and you guys aren't going to hit it. That's exactly what he did. So, and I don't think he'll be back next year. I hope I'm wrong. The Yankee, I believe he said it right when he came here. He wanted to go back to the Yankees. And, I mean, obviously there's a possibility, too, but I also think a dog in the fight for Aroldis Chapman's going to be the team that he just struck out to go to the NLCS. I think the Giants are going to have a big something to say about it. And, of course, next year, the Mets, they could want him because the Mets have the pitching. They're going to be back there next year. Two healthy Cubs and Mets teams I think are going to meet. That wasn't last year. It was not the last time they were going to meet in the National League Championship Series. They almost met in the regular season, or the postseason this year. And by the way, my NLCS picks and my all of my World Series, if the Dodgers lose tonight, then I didn't get one CS pick right. So if you took my picks to Vegas, you probably, hopefully you didn't put the house on it, so hopefully no one listened to this and be like, you know what, I trust that guy that does the show from his living room. And I'm going to put the house on it, and here I am, I got one right. I got the wild cards right. But my World Series is already eliminated, Red Sox Giants. So don't listen to my predictions, and I did playoff predictions for football, and I haven't looked at them, and I'll be surprised as much as you guys are when we get to them probably in late December, early January. So that's kind of my Cubs rant today. No news really broke last night. The Cubs, or the MLB, I guess you can say, announced their games start times. Saturday night will be at 7:08 first pitch. Same with Sunday night, 7:08. Saturday they'll have Game 2 of the American League Championship Series, which will begin tomorrow night, Indians and Blue Jays. That'll start at 3 p.m. on Saturday. And there'll be like an hour break, and with the way the playoff games are going this year, I'm sure there won't be much of a difference, but I think I'm going to the Pumpkin Farm, so I won't really watch the ALCS that much. And I'll just be a nervous wreck getting ready to see my team. And, of course, Sunday, no pay-per-views, but it'll be time for Cubs baseball on LCS. I'm looking forward to it. Should be fun. We're going to preview those games as the pitching matchups really have not come out yet. From what I've seen, obviously, because the Cubs don't have an opponent yet, so then we'll probably hopefully be out by the time we do the show tomorrow. And then John Lester, I believe, will be going on the bump. And you got to think, hopefully, we haven't heard much from Kyle Hendricks. Hopefully he gets the opportunity to pitch Game 2. And then we'll go from there and see if Arrieta will pitch Game 3 on the road, Lackey Game 4, and then go back to Lester 5. Again, with the NLCS and the ALCS, home field advantage, the team, the Cubs will play Games 1 and 2 at home. Then they'll have 3 road games next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And if this goes to 6 and 7, that'll be back at Wrigley Field next Saturday and Sunday. So it shall be fun, and a lot of excitement going to be surrounding that. But still some time to talk about that. We'll preview that tomorrow. I'm try to get Papa Shaw and the Big Galoot on tomorrow, and to talk a little bit about the National League Championship Series. I mean, we're kind of overshadowing. I mean, obviously the Cubs are kind of taking over my show for this month because, I mean, we haven't really talked much about the Bears at all. We haven't talked much about the Blackhawks. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but I mean, until this is it, I mean, I want to make sure I'm covering what's big. Right now, the MLB playoffs is what's big. So that's that. Let's start off. We're 10 minutes down already, opening up 10 minutes with just some random ranting about Chicago and the playoffs. And now let's talk about what's going on with the Chicago Blackhawks, who dropped the puck on the regular season last night against them rivaled St. Louis Blues. Game started off in the first, as we take a moment of silence and hear the sirens here in Silver Lake. Okay, now let's first First period, Richard Panik. I know I'm not saying that right. Gets a power play goal, makes it 1-0 Blackhawks. Second period, Kevin Shattenkirk gets a power play goal, which for the St. Louis Blues makes it 1-1. Then then the Hawks get another one, making it 2-1. Does that say Ryan Hartman? I can't even read my own writing. We'll go with that. As the Hawks take a 2-1 lead, then Vladimir Tarasenko gets the power play goal, his first of the season, making it 2-2. We go to the third period. Paul Stastny gets a power play goal, 3-2 Blues. Vladimir Tarasenko kind of put the nail in the coffin, 4-2, his second of the game, and then an empty net goal to close it out, and the Hawks lose 5-2 to the Blues. Well, of course, they're without Nicholas Hjalmarsson, and this team trying to figure things out. And, I mean, obviously, it's just like, well, I think it's a little harder now in hockey as it is in basketball. I mean, you have to be pretty much a 500 team in basketball to be able to make the playoffs. Not so much anymore now that they have all the divisions and all that in the NHL, but I think this is just the first step. I mean, the Blues eliminated the Blackhawks from the playoffs last year, so you got to expect that the same thing's going to kind of come around and do the same thing in the regular season. I mean, this is a Hawks team that I think they feel that every year they have the opportunity to be a Stanley Cup championship contender. They've been able to win 3 Stanley Cups. They've done a very good job doing it. So I think they're going to they're obviously, and I think this is a big test week. I mean, you start off against St. Louis, then you start tomorrow night at home with the Nashville Predators. So, I mean, you get all this thrown into it, and I think it's going to make for some interesting hockey to see where this team is just a week into the season, and you're going to have to face all these very talented teams. So we'll see what happens there. But again, a tough loss for the Blackhawks, and Vladimir Tarasenko doing his thing, being able to get 2 goals. And you didn't see much from, Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane. They were all there. And it's always fun, the home opener. Apparently there was about 3,000 standing room only at the Madhouse last night, which, is awesome. I also saw Anthony Rizzo there. The Cubs got in, I think, very, very early yesterday morning home after a night of celebrating by the Bay. And they might have not even remember getting on the plane. But then Anthony Rizzo was at the game. He's a big Hawk fan, so hopefully, I'm sure the Hawks are supporting the Cubs, right? I don't know. But a tough loss for the Hawks, and like I said, they'll try to bounce back Friday night NBCSN again, as they'll be welcomed in by the Nashville Predators, and then Saturday they'll be home to face the Predators. That game will be over at WGN, and we'll talk a little bit about them tomorrow. But again, getting you ready for the playoff weekend for the Cubs. Not sure if we're going to have much time to talk about them or the Bears, as we'll preview the ALCS. And the AL and the NLCS will be most of the talk tomorrow. As again, we're trying to dig for stories here. Not much to talk about. So the Hawks lose 5-2. Bulls getting ready. I think they have next week's their last full week of preseason. Then the following week will be beginning to get into the basketball talk. Like I said, a basketball I can talk I'm more in depth with because I actually know what I'm talking about. That and baseball is probably my most sports that I know the most about. So I'm hoping I'll be able to do that. And of course, got a baseball ends, basketball starts kind of thing. So that kind of gets me prepared. And I'm going to try. I didn't get a chance to really watch much of the Hawks game last night. I was trying to catch up on my DVR. So once I really start to tune into Hawks game, what I'm going to plan on doing tomorrow night for the game, because and then I'll Saturday night. Not sure if I'm going to get a chance to really watch that one, but I'm going to try my best, folks. See if I can learn some hockey. And maybe you guys can teach me. I know if Nick Alexson watches or listens, he's a big Hawks fan, so he can try to clue me in and tell me, "You're right, and shut up, you don't know what you're talking about," which probably is what he should tell me anyway. So Hawks lose 5-2. They go to 0-1-0 to start the season. Still some time left in the regular season, obviously. First game, 81 left. Like I always used to say, even in baseball, you go 0-1. I mean, it's much more, especially in football, it's a lot harder to say that, but you can go 161-1 in baseball, It's not the end of the world, so just try to keep it together. I think that the team will just be fine and try to get into the playoffs, and then anything that happens after that is definitely a scrap shoot in this season. But I think they're going to be okay. You fans know they're going to be okay. Okay, So we recap the Hawks. We got to preview the NLDS Game 5. Lineups are starting to come out. I know the Nationals lineup is in. Does not look like the Los Angeles Dodgers lineup, and now their lineup is in. So we will give you the lineups and preview NLDS Game 5. The winner will be at Wrigley Field Saturday night to take on the Cubs, and we will preview that and talk some more about that. We have 14 minutes remaining, but first, here is the Windy City Sports Minute. This is your Windy City Sports Minute for Thursday, October the 13th. The NHL season kicked off last night with the Chicago Blackhawks. They had a 1-0 and a 2-1 lead, but the Blues wouldn't look back after that as 2 goals by Vladimir Tarasenko lead the Blues to a 5-2 victory as the Hawks go 0-1-0, and they'll get ready for a home-and-home with the Nashville Predators coming up on Friday in Nashville. The Cubs will find out who their NLCS opponent will be tonight, Game 5, between the Dodgers and the Nationals, 7 p.m. Central on Fox Sports 1. Your official pitching matchup will be Rich Hill, the former Cub, going for the Dodgers at 12-5, against Max Scherzer at 20-7. Them were regular season records. Cubs have announced the times for Games 1 and 2 at Wrigley Field, Saturday and Sunday, both at 7:08 Central. Them games will be on Fox Sports 1. That is your Windy City Sports Minute. Now back to Windy City Sports Talk. Welcome back here to Windy City Sports Talk. Getting you ready for Thursday night. No Chicago sports tonight, but something that will definitely reflect on the North Siders as they get ready for the NLCS Saturday and Sunday from the north side of Chicago. And, of course, next Saturday and Sunday, if possible, Games 6 and 7 will also be coming to you from Wrigley as well, and them could be some exciting games. Of course, we'll have the recap every day here on Windy City Sports Talk through the playoffs. Every show's live. I'm not doing any pre-tape shows because this is stuff a lot of stuff I got to watch to be able to embrace it. So at least through the playoffs, every show going to be live, and might after the playoffs and World Series wind down, might go to a couple more pre-recorded shows, but appreciate everyone that listens. Yesterday was a bad day for this show. I don't know if I was maybe tired from for the first time, my nerves not all in a hubbubaloo. But first off, when I did the Windy City Sports Minute to start because I do it right before we start the show, and I realized that I said the wrong date, so I said the 13th, which is today. And I think I said it right today. And then I put Windy City Sports Minute for the name of the show. Today I got Windy City Sports Talk, so I'm back on the ball there. Then after I'm done with the show, instead of deleting the Windy City Sports Minute on my page, I deleted the show. So there's one person that listened live, so I appreciate whoever that was, and you guys are the only one that got the mystery episode, which was a good one, as we talked about the Cubs winning. So that was my day yesterday, hoping to avoid that. I mean, there's a couple shows it looks like I've deleted along the way, but I appreciate everyone that listens and follows us here on Windy City Sports Talk as we funnest time of the year. And they were interviewed, I think it was the News, Comcast Sportsnet, someone interviewed some fans outside the United Center last night, and they said October is the funnest month in sports. I mean, you got football, which hasn't been that much fun for Chicago fans. Then you got you got baseball, the Cubs at least usually. And then you got the start of hockey, so definitely October where you get, and then basketball starts. So you get all the one month where you really, the only month you have all 4 sports, except for, because you don't have April. So October is definitely an awesome month. Okay, let's shift gears now to the National League. Oh, before I do that, the NLCS, I was telling you yesterday with the one person that actually could listen because I deleted the show like an idiot. I was saying the games were going to be on Fox. Well, they're not. They're going to be on FS1. So it looks like Matt Vasgersian will be back to do them games. And I didn't mind Matt Vasgersian, but I thought Joe Buck was going to do it. So now the Cubs have to make it to the World Series for Joe Buck to have to call a Cub game. So, because he didn't really do any. I don't think he did any Saturday games of the week in the regular season. I think he's mainly just World Series now. And, of course, he's still dealing with the NFL. So I think he's got at least two more Sundays off. And then he's doing both for about, I think it's only like a week. But So the NLCS will begin on Fox Sports 1 Saturday night. And they will find their opponent tonight, Game 5, Dodgers-Nationals. That'll be a 7 o'clock start tonight on Fox Sports 1. Rich Hill, the former Cub, will be on the mound against Max Scherzer. Now, here are your lineups before we get into kind of in-depth with this game. Let's first give you the lineup for the visiting Los Angeles Dodgers. Leading off and playing second base, Chase Utley. Batting second and playing shortstop, Corey Seager. Batting third and playing third base, Justin Turner. Batting fourth and playing first base, Adrian Gonzalez. Batting fifth and playing right field, Josh Reddick. Batting sixth and playing center field, Jock Peterson. Batting seventh and catching, Yasmani Grandal. Batting eighth and playing left field, Andrew Tolles, or Tolles, whatever it is. And batting ninth, pitcher, Rich Hill. That's the lineup for the Dodgers. Here's the lineup for the Washington Nationals. Leading off and playing center field, Trey Turner. Batting second and playing right field, Bryce Harper. Batting third and playing left field, Jason Worth. Batting fourth and playing second base, Daniel Murphy. Batting fifth and playing third base, Anthony Rendon. Batting sixth and playing first base, Ryan Zimmerman. Batting seventh and playing shortstop, Danny Espinosa. Batting eighth, catcher, Jose Lobaton. And batting ninth, pitcher, Max Scherzer. Now the matchup, let's take a look here. The numbers, only 4 or 5 batters have ever faced Rich Hill. And Jose Lobaton, in 3 at-bats, is batting 1,000. Bryce Harper also batting 1,000, only 1 at-bat. Ryan Zimmerman, 1 at-bat as well, batting 1,000. Now, the LA Dodgers, the best hitters, Yasmani Grandal against Max Scherzer is batting 1,000 with 1 at-bat. And 11 at-bats, Josh Reddick is batting .455 against Max Scherzer, mainly because Josh Reddick was an Oakland A when Max Scherzer was a Detroit Tiger, so they did get a chance to see each other. And 3 at-bats, Jock Peterson don't have any hits. 6 at-bats, Carlos Ruiz don't have any hits. Chase Utley in 8 at-bats is batting .125, so I think it's going to be tough, and I think the Dodgers are going... I think the Dodgers wanted this to be forced to a Game 5. That's why they put Clayton Kershaw in there. Because I think we probably would have saw Clayton Kershaw, Max Scherzer in Game 5. Now, from a Cubs perspective, who do you want to face? Now, I don't think in either series you're going to get their ace. Max Scherzer's pitching tonight. I think at best, you pitch him Thursday, you got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. He might get the opener in D.C. against Jake Arrieta on Tuesday. Now you go from the Dodgers side, Clayton Kershaw could pitch Sunday against Kyle Hendricks, which I think would be a good matchup, which means probably for the Dodgers, they'd probably send out maybe it would be Urias, because he has not pitched in the first round, and give him the Game 1 of the NLCS, and if they lose, you still have hope to get back in the series being a 7-game series, instead of being where that first game and almost every game is just so important, because you can't, and how powerful it is. So I think that's the case. Like I said, from a Cubs perspective, I don't really know who you want to really face. Like I said, you look at the lineup. If you want to be a go-getter and think that this is the year and you just want to tackle everything, then you want the Washington Nationals to win, because you want them to be able to beat Daniel Murphy, the guy that really single-handedly took you out of the playoffs last year from a hitting perspective, because the pitching for the New York Mets last year was absolutely phenomenal. So I think when you go from there, you shift that to you want also Dusty Baker as their manager. He has not been to a National League Championship Series, I don't think, since 2003. So, I think it'd be interesting for him to get a chance. And can the Cubs jump all them hurdles at once? Can they beat Dusty Baker? Which, there was no love loss. There was no hatred when Dusty left. He took that team to an NLCS, and before these last 2 years with Joe Madden, that's the last time they've been seen in the NLCS. So that's what you got. And then you go from there to thinking if you want it to be the Los Angeles Dodgers, yes, you have to worry about Clayton Kershaw. But this team was able to really wait out and pitch and do very good against Madison Bumgarner, who's been tremendous in the postseason. So now you get an opportunity to try to stop him and get an opportunity and try to do that. And I think that's a smart move by this team. Can they get the job done? And I think obviously they have the opportunity to be able to beat both teams. I think the Cubs in either series have the advantage. I think it would be a harder offensive series against the Nationals. I think it might be harder pitching against the Dodgers. Because, I mean, everyone does still, no matter what, Clayton Kershaw is Clayton Kershaw, and it's still going to be tough, no matter what. So it's not going to be easy. And I still think this is a team that has the Dodgers. I mean, they have Kempa Maeda, who's never been in that spot. Kershaw, they're the team 9 straight playoff appearances without advancing to a World Series. That's 9 consecutive. So if they lose tonight, that's rough. So they're trying to end that, and obviously the Cubs are going to be in the way of that. I don't think either one of them teams, the Nationals or the Dodgers, wanted to see the Cubs win that game, win that series. Like, my prediction was Giants, Dodgers. I just had a pit in my stomach thinking, okay, maybe they're, and then I thought the Giants were going to upset, and they didn't, and I'm glad. Because obviously I want my team to advance. I want my freaking nerves were shot. I kept telling everyone that today. Everyone kept asking me. I was at work for the first time today since they won. And I'm like, yeah, now my nerves, and I get to just relax and everything, and then I'll be back to a basket case for the next week starting Saturday. So, yeah, so I think from a Cubs fan's perspective, and if you want to go get them and say, let's beat them all, I say Nationals to try to finally beat Daniel Murphy. I mean, that's still a good offensive team. Bryce Harper had never been in an NLCS. To try to get a chance to see him. The Cubs handled him very well. They almost walked him every at-bat. But that's kind of a lot harder to do, and you really don't want to just throw guys on base in the playoffs. And especially when the Cubs aren't the best at picking guys off. I mean, John Lester, So maybe that, for the Dodgers, they're a team that is Yasiel Puig even in their lineup? I don't know. I don't even think he made the playoff roster. Puig is not in there today. And when you got that, you got Seager, Turner, Gonzalez, Reddick. So, you got a lot of guys that I think you could get out. Now you shift gears over to the Nationals side. Harper, Worth, Murphy, Rendon's been good. Because, they lost their catcher, Wilson Ramos, with a torn ACL. Zimmerman's kind of still there. But, pitching-wise, you want to see the Nationals probably, or the Dodgers. Or hitting, you want to see the Dodgers. Pitching, I don't know. It's a little bit of both. So if I have to give a prediction right now who I think will win, and obviously you guys have been seeing I've been great with picking my predictions this year. I'm going to go for my pick tonight to win Game 5 and be at Wrigley Field. Just because of the pitching matchup, I'm going to go the Washington Nationals. I'm going to win tonight. We're going to have a fun NLCS. A lot of strings attached with Dusty Baker and with Dusty and with Daniel Murphy. Let's take them out because I think the Cubs would feel much better to be able to get back at them guys. And not get back at Dusty, get back at Daniel Murphy for last year and make sure he don't get any hits. Because, of course, if the Cubs learn anything from a guy like Connor Gillespie, anyone on any team could really get hot. And, I think it'd be flight-wise, you want to see the Nationals. You don't want to see them long flights to Los Angeles. It'd be terrible. So, we'll see what happens. But tonight, Game 5, NLDS, the winner will face the Cubs Saturday at Wrigley. And preview for tomorrow, we're going to recap NLDS Game 5 between the Dodgers and the Nationals. Preview the NLCS and the ALCS. We'll give a little preview about the Bears getting ready to do battle with them Jacksonville Jaguars, the weekend for the Hawks. So, a very busy show tomorrow, top to bottom, as Friday and Monday shows usually are, as we get you ready for playoff baseball again. So, everyone have a great Thursday. Enjoy the NLDS game with no nerves involved. It don't matter who wins, because you know your team's going to be there. I'm Ryan Young saying, hey, have a great day, Chicago.